So, Jordan, I figured we'd start in the realistic part of this, and we will just transition into the cartoony stuff. And I figured a good place to start with that is the dark side of the ring,
Ooh, what's
because
the darkest one?
I,
Because they get pretty dark.
Chris Benoit.
Ah,
But the dark side of the ring, for those of you who have not seen Dark, because I watched a few episodes of it as well, is a Vice produced. It's weird because Crave calls it a Crave original, but it's a Vice produced documentary series about wrestling that is really, really, really over the top and sensationalized in a way that I find amusing. But
I will only offer one correction, and it's only because Jim Cornette contributes a lot to Dark Side of the Ring, and Jim Cornette's number one criticism of wrestling documentaries is that they are normally overly
I
sensationalized.
I enjoy his take not takedowns but his review of them when he's on them, because
Yep.
he does provide, like, he's like, okay, he's where I got the term talking head from. I love that term. And depending on who the talking head is, the perspective is different. And there's I watched the Moolah episode before we started doing this,
Ooh,
and that was an example of one where
that's dark.
so I figured, because it's funny, Jordan, just so everyone knows, is the he is the he knows absolutely nothing.
Very little.
He's going to this completely blank slated. So I figured, what we did when we did Black Mirror is we went through this an episode at a time. Jordan giving a rough description, and I figured this time, if Jordan misses any details, as he is ought to do, Jake, feel free to just tag in like you just did, and offer any additional corrections and any details that you may have. And
I'll supply
also,
the comeback, brother.
throughout the episode, I had Jordan watch various, and I also watched 3 professional wrestling matches. And I'm going
Ooh.
to throw to Jordan at any moment, and tell him to name the related to the in the moment professional wrestling match that he watched, potentially, and then the other ones will fit in as it goes along. Jordan, first episode of Dark Side of the Ring that you watched.
First one that I watched was something. It was the Montreal screw job.
Exactly where I was standing when John F. Kennedy had been assassinated. And I remember just as precisely where I was when I found out about the Montreal screw job. The screw job changed so many things in the business.
Brett didn't want to lose the championship, but we need to crown a new champion. You know what? We'll just take it from him.
Screwing a Canadian hero in Canada? How much more evil can one get?
Which
Ooh,
that one was fun.
that's good.
Where and I have to be honest, I watched a lot of movies which had a lot of names which I don't remember all of the names, so you'll have to forgive me for that. But basically there's the one person who had the belt who was wanting to transition out and go to the different I think it was the WEW. Um
WCW and
WCW.
Bret Hart was the current WWF champion from where? Oh God, where are the Harts from? I know they're Canadian, but Edmonton,
Montreal, I believe.
Montreal. Yes, you're right. Stampede was in
Montreal.
Montreal.
Um and
Montreal.
And so the one guy wanted to leave, and they wanted the belt back from him, but they didn't. He didn't want to give them back the belt, and it was the whole big thing. And they came up with this whole plot to essentially screw him. And it was a. I'm leaving out, I'm sure, a lot of the finer details
He
there, but
was
that's the
forever pissed about it.
yeah, that's
To
the
to
overarching
this
for that
day.
To this
one.
day,
He
he
is
still does podcast interviews where he's still pretty pissed about it. But
very upset.
and the big thing about this was, correct me if I'm wrong, the accusation on Bret Hart's behalf is that he knew it was a work, but he claims he didn't know it was a work, right?
Which part?
The part that he knew that that he knew, or he was in on it. Basically, he was in on the screw job. That the screw job
That
itself.
Bret Hart was?
Yeah.
Oh, he's never said that.
Well, maybe it was wasn't in that episode, or was in a subsequent video I watched. But I saw something. One of the wrestlers, maybe it was Shawn Michaels.
I think it was the guy with the glasses where he's like, I maintain to this day, and I can't prove it. I think is how he words it in it, where he's like, I maintain to this day that he was in on it. He knew it. He fully knew what was going on and what was happening.
Was that Vince Russo who says it? It might be.
I
Oh,
think
if
I
Vince
think it
Russo said it, then
was.
it's bullshit.
I believe it was him who said that.
If Vince Russo said it, it is not true.
So okay, so Jake, I need you to because Jordan, I keep saying the name Vince Russo with a tone, and he keeps basically going, "Why are you doing that?" I need you to explain, Jordan, just for your benefit. The name Vince Russo is going to come up a lot today, so it's important that you understand who Vince Russo is and the audience.
Okay.
Because I keep forgetting our audience doesn't know the inside baseball of professional wrestling. So for the audience and Jordan's benefit, who is Vince Russo, Jake?
So Vince Russo was a television writer for originally the WWF, but very quickly he moved to WCW and proceeded to produce some of the worst wrestling ever to be uh, put on tape, film, whatever,
Really terrible.
including giving himself the belt as well as David Arquette, among other just terrible things. And then he would go on to TNA later and do not quite as bad, but by that point they learned how to tell him no. But the real problem with Vince Russo is that he's full of crap the vast majority of the time because he revises history. He says things that are blatantly not true, and then always just kind of comes back with the you know what, bro? It's all about perspective. I'm like, most of the time,
Solid
yes.
Impression. Jake once again, the solid impression. That's solid.
It's like, yes, but I'm not going to take the testimony of a man who Jim Cornette read this out on his podcast. Vince Russo was shopping around a women's only wrestling league television show in the late 90s, early 2000s. I can't remember when. And I don't remember what the promotion's name was, but it included a character named Toxic Shock.
Oh no!
Who
no!
who coincidentally only wrestles 1 week out of the month.
Oh no! Vince Russo, why? Yeah, he's like your coworker with the worst ideas.
That's
Hang on.
awful.
You know what? And actually, he put it in his own book. So this is in his book. Hold on, I'm going to see if I can find some more. Russo female wrestling.
Terrible.
Because I was gonna say, a female wrestling thing that doesn't sound so bad.
That's been done.
That's been done. They have the Diva Cup.
They do. Hey man, I watched the because well, we're gonna get to it, but one of the things we're gonna talk about is Queen of the Ring, and yeah, man, women's wrestling does not get enough credit. It really doesn't. We're gonna talk about that though. We're gonna talk about women's wrestling later. While Jake Googles that, the Montreal Screwjob. Yeah, the big thing was you go out on your back, right? That was the whole thing, and then Bret Hart refused to.
And you pass off the belt to the next person.
Off the belt to the next guy when you go into a new promotion.
It's your way of wrapping up and your way of paying respect to those who came before, and he didn't want to do that.
And he didn't want to do that, and I don't remember why.
I think it was because, from what I remember, it was because the person that he was supposed to pass it off to, he had real world beef with.
Right. It was
and they were having like real world issues, and he didn't want to pass it off to him as a result.
You got it?
Oh God, I can't. But I've got actual shots of the book. So the promotion's name was Bitch Slap.
Oh dear God.
And these are some of the character bios. Toxic Shock. Many of the supporters of Bitch Slap wrestle with no strings attached. However, this is not the case with the very volatile Toxic Shock.
But like also, Moolah would have been Toxic Shock.
Oh, and then we got Homeless Heather.
That's a joke for 3 people.
Homeless Heather.
Oh God, Vince Russo, what are you doing?
Homeless Heather.
But also, you gotta remember, this is the '90s, right? This is like peak attitude.
I mean, yeah, okay, but still.
Yeah, but we also have Kentucky Love with Papa Woody.
Papa Woody. You can't do that.
I can't.
And the Ass Pirates, Blackbeard and Treasure Chest.
Oh my God.
I just don't even know what to say.
Oh my God. Then we also have Beastie Alley with her little dog Scroat.
Oh dear God.
I can't.
But the Montreal Screwdriver.
Oh, and Grandma Gas.
And Grandma Gas.
Grandma Gas.
Is the Montreal because Jim Cornette and Vince Russo, they show up quite a number of times on Dark Side of the Ring. And I can't remember if it's this episode or if it's the Brawl for All episode where Jim Cornette says that he wants to piss on Vince Russo's grave.
He repeatedly says that he wants to live long enough to be able to wheel or walk himself to Vince Russo's grave, piss on it, and laugh.
And
he says in it, he's told his wife that if he can't make it there, that she is to drive him and make sure that he does it there and does that.
Yep.
But
his podcast is amazing. It's long, but but you can get small doses of it too. And his ad spots are genius. I try to mimic them when possible. His transitions are golden.
I enjoy his podcast.
But there's a bevy of clips and compilations on YouTube, so you need not.
That's where I listen to it. I listen to it in small little sections.
That's where I do the majority. I love his AEW reviews though, because not only are they funny, he's right. And it's kind of
he's the guy who would know.
It's informed my opinions of what wrestling should be in more ways than one, and because I can't argue with his logic.
Jordan, next episode.
David Schultz and the Slap Herd round the world.
I think you're the baddest, meanest bastard ever walked the street. The more they hated me, the more money we made.
The training that David Schultz got centered on one thing: always protect the business. Never give away any of the secrets.
People thought it was real, and I don't like people being bullshitted.
He told me he thought it was fake. I showed him it wasn't fake.
Now, the motivation for having Jordan watch this one was, I think this episode's a really good lesson on kayfabe and explaining in like a real basic entry level like idea what kayfabe is to somebody who doesn't know what it is by word. You know what kayfabe is. It's the art
don't break the magic.
Yeah, don't break the fourth wall. It's the don't break the. So, in your estimation, Jake, when do you think kayfabe died? Because I'm curious as to what you think. Because I think that this documentary says, and one of the videos you sent me was the house show where the group of guys all hug each other. But this episode makes the case that it's the slap that does it.
Kayfabe died sooner, but it wasn't an instant death. It was a slow and painful. The curtain call, which is what you're referring to, was kind of the final nail in the coffin, because there were particularly young fans that still believed it. And I get it. Young kids, it's fine.
There's a reason why
but
believing in Santa Claus.
I'm trying to remember. I think it was all the way back in the 30s. Certainly by the 50s, the paper, like local newspapers, stopped reporting on the results of wrestling matches because it was not viewed as legitimate sport.
So, okay. We're going to kind of put a pin in that because, again, we're going to talk about Queen of the Ring later, and I have questions about shoot matches. So we're gonna
now those do occasionally happen.
Okay, maybe we'll do it now.
They're rare. They're rare. And actually, there's a sub promotion in GCW right now, which you know who this is, Justin. It's being spearheaded by Josh Barnett.
Really?
They're calling it Bloodsport. It's a hybrid of pro wrestling, but more MMA focused. It's legitimately good.
Interesting, fascinating. So so the Dave Schultz thing is Jordan. What did Dave Schultz do?
There was the reporter guy, who came and was doing an interview, and he was like, he called it fake, and then got slapped for it. He's like, is it fake?
That's also not the only time that's happened. Just today I watched a clip of, oh God, what's his name? Big burly dude, body slams talk show host because he said it was fake.
I mean, my favorite
it's happened a lot.
Is on the Bill Maher show with Rowdy Piper, and this aggressive way he's like, this. I can't remember all the injuries he does, but he's just like, and then this, and it's just so hyper aggressive, and he sits back down and he's jovial again. It's great clip, great, and it's the way he puts Bill Maher in his place. I mean, anytime anyone puts Bill Maher in his place is great.
And I think that's the right reaction, because is it fake in the sense that it's scripted? Well, I shouldn't even say scripted, predetermined outcome, absolutely. But it's probably the least fake sport out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would never use the word fake. If you want to use the word staged, it's
even
staged,
to a point, but there's no way to.
But like,
there's no way to flip. There's no way to there are ways you can protect yourself while doing a
Yeah.
backflip onto another person, but there is no safety harness.
Yeah, or like, and we're jumping the gun a little bit here, but like with the Mick Foley Hell in a Cell,
Yeah,
um, you
you can't
can't
fake a 20-foot drop.
fake. No, you just can't.
Just
And
can't.
so, no, it's not fake. That's not the right word at all. Um, but
But yeah,
that's one reason where it's like it's fun to watch this because it's like knowing a little bit of behind the scenes stuff makes it more fun to watch the thing because like that it's just like I'm watching it and I'm like I know kind of what's going on in their head and what they're thinking and it's like they did it anyway. They saw the iceberg and they steered towards it anyway.
I
And
kind of
it's
compare it to, for me, it's a little bit like, and it's not going to be like this for everybody, but for me, it's a little bit like stage magic or even close up magic, where it's like, I watch a ton of Penn and Teller fool us, and I hit a point where I see moves. Like, it just happens inevitably where I can see what he's doing and I can see how he's doing it, but it does not make me respect the skill, talent, and ability that is required to do that move. Just because I know how that move is done or how you can do that move in such a fashion that you won't break that guy's neck, it doesn't make
Exactly. You start to notice things the more wrestling. Like you notice when somebody's going to take, say, a frog splash off the top rope, the person who receives it, well, at what should be the last moment, it's usually not, but they'll bring their arms in to cushion the blow, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now, not always. I've seen some people take them raw. Back in like the ruthless aggression attitude eras, there were very unsafe things happening
or
at
like
that time.
the tombstone or whatever that the Undertaker like supports your neck, so it doesn't really the way he's dropping it doesn't actually hurt.
Your head doesn't actually touch the canvas.
Yeah, he's so good at it.
Or even just at the basic, like when they're doing the punches on the ground, it's like if you know anything, you know, like they're not really doing, but it's all about how
the sounds
they're
coming from
it.
the sounds coming from their foot stomping.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry, kayfabe, bro. Kayfabe.
But like, also to be fair, I realized this when I was watching a professional wrestling match the other day. I was like, oh yeah, but to be fair, when you're in the room with these people, you can't see that. Like, it looks like he's punching them from a distance. Like, you don't see the close up minutiae.
Yeah, it's not quite the same as
it's not the same thing.
It's not like when you're watching it on TV, whereas TV you're getting a lot closer of a look.
Absolutely.
It depends on where you're sitting.
That's true.
And it depends on the wrestler too, because some I'm just going to level with you. Sometimes it's a little bit more obvious in a live setting, but it could be the angle you're at.
We're going to talk about Hulk Hogan, guys. We're going to talk about his wrestling. Just so everyone knows.
Hey, before you say that, you should. I don't think you've looked it up yet. Watch Hogan's New Japan stuff.
Oh no, I've heard he. Yeah,
it's legitimately good. Hulk Hogan could wrestle. If evidence,
you know.
I guess the point being with Hogan and what I wish some wrestlers would take more to heart is like, yeah, okay, let's say that you can do a 360, backflip corkscrew and land on a guy, but don't do it every match.
Yeah, it does take some of the majesty out of it. You're right. When you do, like when you're doing like high flying stuff all the time, it does take a little bit of the. I do absolutely see what you mean there, Jordan. Next episode.
Mick Foley, Hell in a Cell.
Did we just see what we thought we saw?
So many people have said Hell in a Cell. It's the first match I was shown, and now I'm a huge fan. And my follow-up question is always, did you expect all the matches to be like that? Because they're not.
I thought that was the end of him.
The Undertaker said, see if he's alive.
It's crazy that they would allow someone to go unconscious and then continue the match.
All of us need to ask ourselves the question, was it worth it?
Which
favorite wrestling. I saw there's a comment.
There's no dark side to that though.
It's surprisingly.
I mean,
to be fair, that episode. Have you seen that episode, Jake? It's one of the newer ones. That episode to me.
Maybe not.
It's more about Mick Foley and.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's no dark side in the sense that like Mick Foley was not coerced in a way that I feel would be unethical.
Oh, okay.
I respect Mick Foley because he's like knowing what I know now about head trauma, would I have still done it? And he doesn't say yes, but he kind of implies it. He's like, yeah. He's like, am I going to say that the stuff I did wasn't incredibly dangerous? No. Am I going to sit here and deny that it gave me the success that I have? No. And I respect that about him. Like he knows that it fucked him up, but he
that's the catch-22 though, is somebody like Mick Foley this is kind of ironic because he wasn't a bad looking dude earlier in his career. Not to say he's ugly or anything, but like, you know what I mean?
But, yeah.
Like he wasn't your typical built wrestler, which again is super ironic because if you look at the Cactus Jack years, it's not like he was ugly.
No, but he wasn't an
but he created
style professional wrestler.
He created a niche for himself.
He really makes me think of like he's the Jack Black of wrestling
a little bit.
Whereas
kind of
like
my favorite
he's not
wrestler.
traditional, but like he still really made it work. And he was really.
It's funny you say.
But Mick Foley knew when to push past. I think that's the difference between him and some of the other hardcore people that would come later.
Yeah.
Is he understood when to do that.
Yeah.
And Mick Foley did it more than the average WWF wrestler, but
they showed some of the shit he took.
Miles, yeah, but miles less than what a lot of guys are doing on the indies and especially the garbage hardcore indies.
True. I mean, that is true. He look as a child of the '90s. It's hard not to be like I love The Rock. I love Stone Cold. They're probably my two favorite wrestlers. But Mick Foley, he reminds me a lot of like, it's funny you say Jack Black because it reminds me of Tenacious D in the sense that like he's not your traditional wrestler. He's especially coming in off the back of the 80s and 90s where it's all like Hulk Hogan and jacked, like muscle on muscle on muscle. He's a guy who's like a bit stockier and he's doing the shit that the other people are doing, and that's what I love about him. This is you watch Cobra Kai. I always forget the actor's name. The guy who plays Stingray.
Yeah,
I always forget his name, but yeah,
I know the actor you're talking
Paul
about.
Something Hauser. He supposedly is going to make a Mick Foley movie, and I know, right? I went, you know what? Solid casting. I could see it, and this show makes me go, why aren't there more professional wrestling movies? Like their stories are insane. Like I would watch a movie about this match. Like there's this like the to go back to the episode, like the fact that like Undertaker didn't want to throw him off the thing. Like
he did not.
So Jordan asked this question. This was a question that we had. Is the announcing table gimmicked?
Yes.
Interesting.
Now here's the thing though. That one in particular, I'd have to look because normally yes, it is gimmicked because the drop is only a couple feet at best.
Yeah.
In fact, there's kind of an infamous shot where the table breaks before Triple H does his pedigree.
Oh, interesting. Okay, because Jordan said that. Jordan was like, I think the announcing table is gimmicked. That was.
They normally are. That one, I assume it was because of the way it broke. The only reason I would think maybe it wasn't is they didn't want it to break too easily and him basically go straight to the floor. But I guess that would brace you.
Because
not like it's gonna suck no matter what.
I mean, this is a good moment to talk about that match. Generally, that's one of Jordan's matches he watched because it is.
Yes, I did.
What the top comment on that video is: this is one of the greatest moments in entertainment history. It is. The Dark Side of the Ring does a really good job of making you feel like shit about things that you love. So they're like, man, this is how he hurt himself and how he practically died. You're like, oh man. This is a real source of joy in my life, but all right. Thanks for taking the fun out of it. But our question was, like, we understood, like, I enjoyed how they explained how the cage was supposed to work and how it was supposed to slowly break down over time and then it just didn't. We were trying to theorize about what was the good version of him landing through the table, of them throwing him off of it. Like, was he just going to dust himself off, get up and like, they all act as though him landing on that was a shock. So like, what was the actual, like, this is what was supposed to happen?
I think that went as planned.
Really? Because anytime anyone ever talks about it, it's always with the tone of voice that they didn't expect him to go unconscious when he hit the table, or that he hit the table in such a way that was unexpected. So I'm like,
I could be wrong there. You'd have to ask Foley or Undertaker. Yeah. Or maybe Vince, but we don't talk about Vince anymore.
We don't know. He got canceled. But that
he did some shit.
He did a lot of shit, and most of it was cocaine in the 80s.
Oh, you don't get that joke. It's in the indictment.
No, I know. Yes, I know.
Okay.
I know what he did. Allegedly.
Okay.
Allegedly.
I feel like that's some pretty specific testimony.
That's to prevent me from getting sued by the McMahon estate.
Okay, yes, everything is innocent until proven guilty.
Allegedly.
Even though Brock Lesnar was totally there.
Allegedly. Jordan, he did bad things to
Allegedly.
women. He did. That's all you need to know. He did bad things to women.
Okay.
But yeah, so that was my big thing about the throwing him off of the thing. Because like there's no way they planned for him to fall badly and then knock himself out and then like.
No, they wouldn't have planned for him to be knocked out. So I honestly don't know.
So that's where Jordan's question of is the announcing table because our theory was maybe was he intending to land like flat on his back and maybe that would have like braced some of the
I feel like he landed as best he could because I feel like a flat back bump at that height would be fatal.
You think? Okay, fair enough. I don't know enough about high impact crashes to know about, but it's just
I don't know
because
I just because my thought was like if he's doing those kind of stunts for a living, then that like he's a stunt guy basically, so he would kind of know the optimal way in which he would have to land theoretically.
But he also has to get there. Damage. So yeah, but he also has to make the distance. So a flat back bump may not have been possible.
That's where I'm like,
because he has to jump with it.
Which is why I was like wondering if the table was gimmick, because I'm like, if the table is gimmick, if the table is gimmick, then that makes sense. Like he has to aim for it and hit it in such a way where like maybe the padding is in a particular spot or something, or I don't know.
No, there's no. To my knowledge, there's no padding in it. It just breaks in such a way that it collapses without any jagged edges.
Interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
So yeah, there's no padding. There's no padding in it.
So to go to the actual match itself.
So yeah, it's a miracle that he did not get
if there is padding, I'll put it this way: if there is padding at 20 feet, it does nothing.
Bubkiss.
With each of these matches, Jake, I wanted to ask you when was the first time you saw this spectacle of human insanity, as it were? Do you recall?
I don't remember the first time I saw the match. I've seen that moment so many times because I actually got interested in wrestling first because the guy who would become my roommate a year later was a massive wrestling fan. And they show that as a highlight.
Like all the time.
All the time. Like it's even back when they released pay-per-views on DVD, they had this "Don't Try This at Home" segment. And that's like...
Oh, interesting. So for
it's in there.
Wrestling isn't like a childhood thing?
And when I was super duper young, I remember watching it with my dad, but I'll put it to you this way. And then I was like very casually, I liked Kane, but I got confused because another friend of mine was into wrestling, but he was watching WCW and I'm like, where's Kane? And I'm like, Kane isn't in WCW. I'm like, but I've seen him. Not understanding that there were two. I thought wrestling was wrestling.
So did we.
Yeah, so did we.
Those are just letters.
Which I just liked Kane because he was a big dude dressed in red wearing a mask, and I thought that was cool.
I love mask Kane.
Like,
but I'm talking like red mask
4-year-old me thought that was awesome.
Like when he became half mask Kane, he wasn't the same.
That was lame.
Yeah, my memory of wrestling, my experience with wrestling is I remember basically the 90s, so like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, The Undertaker, Kane. Now that you've said that name, I recognize that one. Those are the big ones. Even like Mankind. I remember the cage match. Like I remember that match.
I remember
even watching like as a like 8-year-old or whatever 7. For me, it was as far as I knew as a kid, that shit was real.
You know, you know how they say don't try this at home? We did.
We did.
Everybody did. Every pro wrestler today absolutely tried it at home. There's video footage of that they put in their documentaries later.
And so then like we dropped off from wrestling for a long time, and then we went and we watched. There was a friend that we had who he was big into wrestling, and he's like, "Do you guys want to go watch WrestleMania something 30 with me in theaters?" So we did, and we went when we watched it on the big screen, and I was in the moment. I'm like, I sort of forgotten how much I enjoy this. Like this is fun. I'm having a great time.
The thing of it is, and I tell everybody is, and it is affected by what wrestling you're watching.
This is true.
If you just go into it wanting to have a good time, you'll have a good time. But if you go
Yeah.
into it being like, this is fake, this is phony, this is stupid, because I did originally, but the first wrestler I actually liked was Rob Van Dam because
Okay.
I had a martial arts background and he was doing stuff that looked what I did.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm like, oh, this dude is a legit. And then I learned like he's a legitimate martial artist. He studied multiple disciplines, and his offense was more martial arts based. So I started watching for him. And then it's like a domino effect with wrestling. You start watching the matches of one guy, but then he has a match with another guy who's really good. So then you start watching his matches, and
My thing
it
was
just
like, oh, I know that guy. Ooh, I remember this era of wrestling. Let's watch some Macho Man. Why not? Let's do it.
oh yeah.
I was of a similar way with Brock Lesnar. Like I watched Brock Lesnar in UFC first, so then it makes it easier for me to suspend my disbelief when I watch him in wrestling.
Yeah, don't watch his match with Cain Velasquez. It will have the opposite effect.
I mean, yeah, but that we watched that. That's another. We watched that in theaters. We paid. No, actually, because I worked at the theater at the time. We got to watch it for free, but people paid $20. And I remember sitting there the whole time, jazzed to watch a Brock Lesnar fight live.
Yeah.
In like 2 minutes.
Yeah. It was like 30 seconds or something insane. It was really short.
Yeah, although not so much anymore. But if you're looking outside of WWE, the best scam on earth is if you can watch a pay-per-view in a theater, because it's usually half the price of buying the pay-per-view at home.
What I used to do.
I watched it, although this was a big mistake. AEW they have obscenely long pay-per-views. With the pre-show, they're normally 5 to 6 hours. It's ridiculous. I was like, oh sweet, I'm gonna be able to watch this pay-per-view for like literally half the price of what it would, little bit less than half the price, and it's going to be in the theater, it's going to be cool. And then like 3.5 hours in, I'm like, I'm out of popcorn, I'm out of like
I'm kind of done.
what the fuck are we doing here? Like like I like wrestling as much as the next guy, but I mean,
come on now, pack it up. You know, they used to show them in the pay-per-views, and that's where I got the projectionist guy. He always used to say that the wrestling fans are weird, because they had very specific requests.
It can be.
They'd walk out and be like, it's not loud enough, or it's too loud, or they'd have such specific requests. The picture doesn't quite look good enough for.
Here's the thing you have to understand about wrestling fans is they will not be happy as a collective group no matter what you do. So it's generally best to just do a good plan, and they will bitch and moan, but they will still watch.
That is accurate. Jordan, you've got one more episode, right? And it's the Nick Gage one?
Yeah, it's the Nick Gage one.
I love what I do, and I'm the best motherfucker in the world doing it.
When that bell rings, it's real to Nick Gage. This is gonna be a fight.
Oh my God!
I'm an actor, so don't cut me. I know I'll bleed. Don't cut me.
He's willing and ready to die in the ring if that's what it comes to.
Look at that fucking camera.
Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh.
See, I'm glad you saved that for last, because Jake has passionate feelings about Nick Gage that he's been sitting on since Thursday.
I mean, he seemed insane. Is that an act?
Yes.
An absolute psychopath. That episode is the funniest bit. Sorry, Jake, not to cut you off, but the funniest bit about that episode, that's what I'm talking about, where I'm like, when the person participates in the documentary, you get one side of things, and it has a narrative it's trying to push. The first thing Jordan said is his girlfriend definitely did drugs with him.
For sure.
I believe what I said was his girlfriend looks like she still does drugs with him.
Yes.
I don't believe for 1 second that he's sober.
Absolutely not.
I think that was the first thing I said.
Well,
but
I Googled him to see if he was still wrestling, and it said that he had left in 2024 he had just left the promotion that he was with in this documentary.
I think he's back now, though. I think he's back in GCW.
Back? Okay, sorry, Jake.
He could be.
I cut you off pre-rant. Go ahead. Why don't you care for Nick?
I would like to hear this rant.
The only thing I was going to say is Jim Cornette refers to him as the bank-addicted drug robber.
My favorite bit about the episode is where I think it's his friend, where he's like, he's known for wearing a mask in the ring, and the one time he chose not to wear a bank robber mask is when he robbed a literal bank. What is wrong with you?
Nick Gage is back in GCW.
That's hilarious. Oh my God. How is he's the guy who I'm like, how is he not dead? Like the thing that's the most baffling about his episode is all the footage they got of him nearly dying. Like the one match where he gets cut and one of his major arteries gets cut and he insists on going back in anyway. I'm like,
and they're in a cornfield.
Crime.
And they're in a cornfield.
Yeah,
far away from.
Yeah.
Like,
anything.
okay, don't get me wrong, and this people are going to disagree with me because this is a slightly controversial take on wrestling today. Deathmatch wrestling is garbage wrestling because it throws out all logic, and I'll use a Nick Gage match as an example. Okay, so Justin, you know about this. I'll also share an interesting detail for people who may not know. Nick Gage was on one episode of AEW Dynamite. He was a special surprise opponent against Chris Jericho.
I can't believe this.
Well, there's a moment in the match where Nick Gage has set up a glass table. And a logical person would think, oh, he's going to throw the guy into the glass table. Well, Nick Gage doesn't do that. He proceeds to throw both of them, himself included, into the glass table. And I'm like, okay, the whole premise of professional wrestling as entertainment and as an art form is that you are presenting this as though this is a real athletic contest and or, in the case of a death match, a real fight in which weapons are permitted. Your goal is to win, presumably, with as little damage as possible.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would you throw yourself through the thing?
I mean,
throw the other guy through the thing. But that's the point, though. That's what I'm saying. The point of deathmatch wrestling is to look gnarly at the cost of sometimes being safe. And I will give a counterexample in a moment because some people are going like, but there are good death matches. Yes, but they're rare. And the good ones follow the example that I laid out, and I'll give you one. But Jordan, you'll find this funny. So Nick Gage does what's he calls his pizza cutter spot, where he takes a literal pizza cutter and cuts across the guy's forehead.
Yeah, that was in the documentary.
Which he proceeds to do to Chris Jericho. Unfortunately for him, and I don't fault Gage for this, I fault Tony Khan, who never should have had him on his television show to begin with. They go to commercial after he does this pizza cutter spot, and it cuts to a Domino's pizza commercial.
When you order Domino's carryout, get 3 topping pizzas for $7.99 each and choose Domino's Carside Delivery. Check in when you arrive, and we guarantee we'll be headed out the door less than 2 minutes after your order is ready, or your next pizza is free. We'll deliver fast through rain, snow, wind. But if anything slows us down, we'll give you a free pizza next time. Choose Domino's Carside Delivery and put our 2-minute guarantee to the test.
Yes, that's great.
And Domino's pulled their sponsorship the next day. I watched this happen live and I laughed.
Oh, that's kind of amazing. That's kind of amazing.
Me and Jordan got into this debate. So death match wrestling, it's still a work, right? Like it's the
yes.
wins are still predetermined. It's the end is still for the not the end the finish is still predetermined.
It is, but in death, because of its nature, deathmatch wrestling has a more likely tendency for a changed outcome because accidents can happen.
Interesting, because like
I've seen this happen before.
Because and to be fair, we're going to talk about the Von Erichs in a bit, but the Von Erich episode does a similar thing where Nick Gage acts as though that these fights aren't predetermined. Like he like because we're gonna talk about
ridiculous.
We're gonna talk about David Arquette, but like he acts as though he's getting into the ring and he's actually getting into a fight with David Arquette the whole episode. And it's like,
and that honestly is the biggest problem I have with Nick Gage, because the number one rule in wrestling is you protect your opponent.
Yeah.
And okay, so here's the thing, and David Arquette gave his side of the story. For those of you who don't know, David Arquette did become an independent wrestler after Ready to Rumble.
We're gonna talk about it.
Many years after. And he's going over the match with Nick, and he's like, hey man, I know you do the pizza cutter spot, but can you do me a favor? Because I'm an actor. Don't cut my face.
Not the face.
What does Nick Gage proceed to do in the match?
Yeah, violates the entire.
But egregiously.
Yeah.
As though to say, fuck you, Hollywood. This is my house. It's like, well, except Hollywood is bringing eyes to your product, you moron. And you are now going to alienate this person who is coming to. Yes, he's getting a paycheck, but David Arquette is mostly coming. David Arquette was hired to bring eyes to GCW.
For sure. There's the clip of him from TMZ just absolutely pissed. He's like, it didn't go well. But also, like, David Arquette did also, well, maybe he didn't know what he signed up for, but he should have maybe known what he signed up for.
He knew what he signed up for, but at the same time, he asked his opponent, like, there's a very easy way you can do this and protect the integrity, right? Because I don't remember who was supposed to win that match, but assuming Arquette is supposed to win that match, the easiest way to do it is Nick Gage goes for the pizza cutter spot, and Arquette is able to counter it.
Totally, yeah.
It's that easy.
He goes for it or something, and Nick Arquette kicks the pizza cutter out of his hand, and it goes flying out of the ring. Then Booby can't do it.
Well, that would be dangerous, but that's another thing in that AEW match. That glass I was telling you about. Oh no, it was in the corner. He didn't lay it down, which made it even doubly stupid. Glass flew into the audience.
Oh no!
Now here's the thing: was it gimmicked glass? Probably.
Still.
But I mean, there are unprotected eyes, and it's not a good idea. It's just not a good idea.
I can't believe they would do that on.
I didn't. Until watching this episode, I didn't know that the whole deathmatch wrestling. I had never heard of that before. And this is maybe a no duh thing to say. So forgive me if it shows my ignorance. But it just seems unnecessarily gratuitous,
that's the point,
which is the point, I guess. But like, I don't know. For me, it's just
I question the mental stability of people that are like diehard deathmatch wrestling fans, because, like, okay, that, especially deathmatch wrestling today, that's not wanting to see a show or an athletic contest. That's wanting to see blood. That's wanting to see injury. And I'm concerned.
Like, I think for me, there's a big difference between, like, you have a heel who is going underneath the stage and, like, he's breaking the rules. He's doing a thing that's not allowed, and he's the bad guy, and it's well known for the kids that he's a bad guy, and you should not do that. There's a difference between that and they're both doing a fight in a thing which is designed to hurt them. Just
pretty much. Now the example of a good match I'll give you, which technically it wasn't a death match, it was a barbed wire match, but it's the same basic philosophy. This one was obscenely good though, and I watched it recently. It was Sabu versus Terry Funk. I believe it was in '93.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
And here's the thing that makes the match magical. They behave as though that barbed wire is going to hurt. They avoid it, or they try to avoid it. And when they hit it, we don't know if you've ever fallen on barbed wire.
No, I don't.
It's
not specifically.
It's very painful.
Yeah,
I would imagine it is designed to be so.
It's very painful. Now they do doctor their barbed wire a bit, but it's still a piece of metal. Going into. And that's another example of the match going awry. In that match, Sabu accidentally slices his bicep open and then tapes it shut. But they both get to a point where they're tangled in the barbed wire and they stop the match and they have to both be cut out of it.
Oh, that's gnarly.
But the match is good in the sense that they're behaving as though two people in a fight would behave if they were surrounded by barbed wire.
You don't want to get hit by the
It's
barbed
believable.
wire.
Yeah.
See, deathmatch wrestling to me exists purely for the people who can't handle the reality of what professional wrestling is. Oh, you think
that's
professional
probably
wrestling is
true.
Fake? Well, we'll prove to you it's not fake by doing ridiculously over-the-top violent things to prove its realness. And it's like, well, its inherent existence is unnecessary, in my opinion.
I think my problem with the deathmatch wrestling is it's like, if you need it to be that violent, I'm just gonna say, you should just go watch UFC. Go watch.
I was just gonna say that. Well, but they don't allow they don't allow baseball bats and light tubes and barbed wire.
Yeah, it just comes across like they have a
Although-
bloodlust. The fans have a bloodlust that needs to be
Hey,
satiated.
they have a medieval MMA league that's quite good.
It is actually quite
Yeah,
good.
I've seen clips from that.
Yeah, I've seen a few matches. They're
It's actually
really good.
it gets rid of some myths. Actually, it's very fascinating to watch. But I had a thought and I completely lost it. It's gone.
Lazy Susan. It'll come back around.
Oh, yep. It came back around. And I don't want to make it sound like ECW did it right, because you also had Axel and Ian Rotten doing Taipei death matches, which they wrap their hands in tape with the sticky side out, a double-sided tape, and they dip their hands in broken glass.
Nope.
And yeah.
Nope. That's a nope for Justin. Nope.
No.
Don't like that.
I watched one, I turned it off because, like, I'm not overly squeamish, but there is such a thing as too much blood. There's even some AEW matches where I'm like, this seems like a lot.
Yeah.
This seems more than what's necessary to prove this point.
Matches where I'm like, oh, this is gruesome.
Sometimes it's appropriate. Blood can work.
I saw one.
Yeah, for me, it doesn't bother me. Ironically enough, it doesn't bother me when I see blood in UFC because I know it's real. So I know that an actual ref will step in and stop it before it goes too far.
Well, and during WWE's PG era, they kind of sort of did something like that, and then people rightly complained. And they complained because it was never an issue before. They would pause the match, and the ref would actually fix the cut.
Okay.
Which
interesting.
It does make it seem a little bit more realistic, but even in UFC, the ref doesn't intervene to fix the cut. The ref intervenes to stop the fight, or when they go to their corners, they fix a cut.
The ref can bring in a doctor to check the cut if it looks really, really bad.
But I'm more meant like the ref will stop it if it gets too far. Like they'll if the person is unconscious and the other guy's standing over top of him wailing on him, he's gonna at a certain point stop you from murdering that man. Whereas
there reaches a point where in a legitimate fight, it reaches a point where the other person is not going to be able to fight back.
Yeah, exactly. So like there's in one of my wrestling ones, I don't remember which one it was specifically, but one of my matches, there's a point where the ref like goes unconscious and is just laying outside the ring, and I'm like,
I love ref spots that last too long.
It's like, yeah, no, if he was actually unconscious, I feel like there'd be someone checking him out.
Someone checked on him a little bit.
Well, you'll find that a replacement referee is often on hand when it's convenient for the story they're telling. But when the referee needs to be out of commission for a while, there's none to be found. It's the strangest thing.
It's so odd, you know?
So the David Arquette thing is an excellent way to transition. And Jordan, unless you have anything further on Dark Side of the Ring.
Those are all my Dark Sides of the Rings.
Hey there, everybody. It's Endcard Justin here. Have you been to the Dark Side of the Ring? Have you seen any of these episodes? Which is your favorite episode? Is there an episode that we didn't talk about that maybe we should talk about another time? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. But in the meantime, if you'd like to see the full podcast that this is from, with our good friend Jake from Down the Middle, our professional wrestling episode, click the box on the left. Or if you just want to see a random video that YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy, you click the box on the right. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. We put new videos out 7 days a week. Or you can just leave this video a like. That helps us out too. We'll see you next time, everybody.